Good evening, Disobey. I'm glad to see so many of you still hanging around, and yeah, it's a pretty difficult spot for a talk after the kind of super energetic presentation of Stuck, but here I am. I'm gonna sing you a short lullaby to end your evening. It's gonna be a talk that lets you peek a bit into what it means and how it kind of works out to create and maintain a open source software, especially on a kind of offensive side of things, when it gains really high adoption. So there's a lot of things going around. And in case you ever wondered how it is, from my side, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek into my open source maintenance life. So first, who am I? I'm head of security testing at Visma. I'm a father with 3 kids. Awesome hobbies like board games and beer, craft beer specifically. I'm involved in a lot of different information security communities, both live and online. And yeah, I've been doing a lot of open source stuff, both in offensive and defensive security space. So this talk is going to be about the kind of from the eyes of ffuf, but there's a lot of other stuff going on as well. So yeah, what do we actually kind of have grown to expect when we're talking about the offensive security tooling? It has changed a bit, fortunately, to this date, but at least when I started writing ffuf, the offensive security tooling space was basically, you would kind of expect shit to break every now and then. All the tools come with some assembly required. You would have to fiddle around with, let's say, Python libraries for a tool A. When you get the shit right, it will break everything for tool B on your system. Thanks, Python packaging. Anyway, this is kind of what you kind of have grown to expect. Also stuff like API changes. Things are kind of bleeding edge. You know, POC quality code, hack fast, die young. So in order to get these kind of bleeding edge stuff, there's not too much focus put into reliability of the software, stability, and backwards compatibility. You generally cannot really trust that. I don't really want any of that from my tools. I want boring. I want stable. I want reliable. But does it actually have to come with any cost? Or is it even possible to do? I mean, I have written a lot of software, and these things you can learn by following my example, shooting yourself into a leg, then starting from scratch, then shooting yourself to the other leg, then crawling to the next project, starting over. Maybe that third one will be something cool. Anyway, this is kind of I have learned through mistakes. Works really well for me. I have made a lot of mistakes, and that's how I've learned. So I kind of really didn't want to have I didn't buy the expectation. And the specimen for today's talk is going to be the fuzzy friend of mine, ffuf. So how many of you in the crowd here, how many of you have heard about ffuf previously? Quite a few. How many of you have actually used ffuf? Almost as many. How many of you are running ffuf right now in your VPS somewhere? OK, quite a few. That's cool. So just a TLDR for those that didn't raise their hand for the first two, probably. ffuf is a web fuzzer. It is not a tool that has any sort of super magic inside of it. It is what it does. It sends web HTTP requests, gets the response, analyzes the kind of a response, and reports back any anomalies based on whatever you configure. So from the very beginning of the project, there were few kind of design principles that I had in mind. Something that I kind of was not, and up to this day have not been willing to kind of compromise. Stuff like if something can be done outside of ffuf, it should. I don't want to kind of make the code base unmaintainable. I don't want to include any unnecessary features. If you can, put something together in a few lines of Bash, some other scripting language, Python maybe, that's probably the way you should go. That gives a much needed flexibility as well, because you kind of, if you implement all of these crazy single use case features, you kind of end up with actually limiting the use cases of the tool itself. I want to avoid magic. The main idea of the tool is to be Swiss Army knife, being just as good or just as bad as its user. And when it comes to reliability, I think the Swiss Army knife analogy works really well there as well. If you think of like MacGyver, when you're in a shitty situation, trying to Swiss Army knife your way out of it, you don't want the tool to break. You probably don't even respect any fireworks, even though they are pretty and maybe uplifting for morale. If your life depends on it, you probably don't want that. There's also a thing of reasonable safety. So making decisions that help you not to unintentionally spiral out of scope. So basically, I'm trying to not do hand-holding, but to kind of prevent some legal actions against you, if you're thinking of the tool defaults. I also wanted the tool to be intuitive. And for me, intuitive really means that doing things in a kind of same way in different contexts. And also doing it in a similar way than other tooling works. So what was natural for me as a command line user was running curl in various different ways. And ffuf was also designed from the get-go to be pretty much flag or command line option compatible with curl. So what happens if you if you have flag in curl, there's a high possibility that it will work in ffuf as well. Well, not. Curl has like a million command line options, but some of them. So yeah, the beginning. This is a story that I have told a lot of times. It's about me needing a feature in a web fuzzer tool or web brute forcing tool that didn't exist in the tooling available at the time. I can't exactly put my finger on what was the exact function that I needed, but there was something. So, as a good open source citizen, the first thing I do is go to a repo of my favorite tool, try to, extend its because it's open source as well, trying to extend its usage by making a contribution. So I looked at their PRs and noticed that they have this huge PR, like thousands of lines of changes, titled Massive Refactoring. So I go in, kindly ask if I have this feature that I need to add, if I should base my changes on this branch or the master one, which basically means that I want to help you to avoid pains of something called merge conflict, which is a lot of work usually, especially if a contribution or the changes are large for the maintainer. So I wanted to help them out. Unfortunately, they were swamped trying to review, trying to make that refactoring happen. So they answered that, sorry, please do not submit anything at this time. And so ffuf was born. I needed the feature, so I had fuck it, I'll just do it anyway. The part of the story that I have not been sharing around a lot, but I thought this would be the perfect situation, perfect occasion for that, because I'm standing at the stage of disobey, talking about a tool called ffuf. So while I don't remember the exact feature that I needed, I do remember what I needed it for. And it was, maybe you can actually guess from the date. It's August 11th in 2018. What happens usually in the beginning of August when it comes to disobey? We get the disobey hacker challenge. So I was doing disobey hacker challenge, and there was something, can't remember what the existing tooling could not do. I believe that year, like nowadays, this year, for example, I may one of the persons to blame for your traumas in case you attended or attempted the disobey like a hacker challenge. I was part of the team with other awesome people, Kami, Miksu, and Huis. But back then, I was not. I believe, I may be mistaken, but I believe that year it was done by Iiro Uusitalo, that some of you in the crowd here in Finland most likely know. So thanks, Iiro, or it's your fault if ffuf exists. So yeah, the tool got out. It was initially for me, for my kind of personal usage. I shared it with community, obviously, pushed it to GitHub as soon as I could, to have other people's eyes on it, if it has any potential. So first it was me, a couple of friends in the community. Then there was a first HealthSec that was held in January 2019. I was presenting the tool there. That was the first public presentation. So more people got their hands on it. It got a bit of traction. I tweeted out about the tool a couple of times. I'm not really a marketing person, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of get it out there for people to poke around and see if it's any good. Then there were some early adopters that have a really high following on Twitter. I just looked at the tweet history mentions about ffuf, tried to correlate that with it's a lame hockey stick, but it's sort of a hockey stick graph, stonks. And so I tried to figure out what kind of happened there. So especially in the bug bounty community, the tool got a lot of traction, most likely through tweets like these. I'm not sure if you're able to see those, but those are from Nafi and Jay Haddix. JSON headaches. Like big names, household names in bug bounty and penetration testing, at least in the Twitter bubble. So that meant that the tool got a lot of traction there. So the interactions around the word got out, and the interactions around the tool grew a lot. Suddenly, I found myself talking to a lot of really bright minds, trying to kind of figure out the future for the tool, what is good. Okay, so we have like a pretty nice speed. The tool is fast, but the fast isn't enough because we actually want to do something more advanced. And a lot of features kept on kind of popping. We were discussing that in like a shit ton of DMs, shit ton of threads. The product development happened mostly around Twitter, or now known as Shitter. It was really kind of if you think of open source community, well, it's a community. Then you have the information security or hacker community, and the offensive tooling kind of falls in the intersection of these two. So it was really a kind of a communal effort there. A lot of people pitching in, really happy to share their ideas, really happy to kind of share their passion as well, and like a low-key sharing their methodologies, because those are effectively what the features or new features or additions or changes in the tool kind of aim towards of. But like in the end, it's all about like a communication, really respecting other people, really respecting other people's ideas, even though if they conflict with yours. Keeping an open mind, being willing to kind of change your ideas around the whole thing, your initial perception or your initial kind of thoughts how the tool would evolve, got changed a lot of times. But the vision, kind of where do you want the tool to land, didn't. That is the kind of the backbone of the whole project there. And I said a lot of communication. Or communication. Communication is really the way. And kind of sharing your actual ideas, trying to improve, listening to others' input, and trying to make the best out of it. If you kind of go into that sort of, we're talking about communities, right? And in my opinion, the hacker community, as well as the open source community, they're both pretty healthy ones. And you cannot go there with like a selfish attitude of like I'm here for clout. I want the tool to be big so I can be big. It's about the shared vision. It's about the shared goal. It's about the impact. It's about making things better, like really. That's why I'm standing here today. That's why a lot of people have been standing here on the stage today, and this is why many people will stand here on the stage tomorrow. To share ideas, making the world better together. So magic. This is actually something that I kind of needed to take a pretty strong stance on. So I don't want the tool to do, as I said, it shouldn't shoot fireworks. It shouldn't auto-pwn things. I know we love shells. We love actually like popping some sort of an exploit somewhere. We do. But that's not what we want to kind of do automatically. I think it takes, like a fully automated stuff. It eats the creativity of the individual hacker. It eats the creativity of the user of the tool. The tool would kind of become just your normal, whatever, washing machine. that does the end result every time the same way, that kind of takes you out of equation. Also limits your potential approaches, limits your way of using the tool, limits your way of hacking. I don't want to limit people. I want to enable people. And I want simple. I want boring. I want stable. I want usable. And by usable, I mean if I learn a thing today, I should be able to use it tomorrow as well. If I learn the basic idea of the tool, learning any advanced features of it becomes much, much more simple in the future, because the basic idea of the tool I already know. Again, I'm kind of referring to curl. That is an important part of that, because all of the kind of curl command line comes naturally for me. But even curl actually does some magic. I had like a strict, no hand-holding approach. So curl, as an example, you send form data, -d, your data in. Curl adds a header for URL, like a XWWW URL encoded, for example. I don't want to do that. I want to enable people to actually be able to experiment, to kind of hack around that stuff in a way that they can intuitively understand. So no magic whatsoever. Coincidentally, this is also the most reported bug in ffuf. The ffuf is not working. I'm not able to send the form data in. Okay, have you added this header here? That is going to be the problem, and it always is in those sort of cases. So yeah, adding magic, you would think that it saves you time, it makes the tool great, but it actually limits you. It takes away the flexibility, because you end up with a heap of, like a corner cases being handled by the code automatically, and something goes wrong in that, like a pipeline, and things get broken. So, there's a lot of community eyes on the tool. There's a lot of contributions coming in. There's a lot of discussion about the stuff. So there are things that are really good. Things are going great there. I'm getting in a lot of awesome feature pull requests. People implementing a lot of stuff. I know that there's at least 5 people who are co-developers of ffuf here in the event. I'm not sure if they're in the crowd. Probably not, but because they know the stuff already. Getting a lot of awesome PRs, cool features, people spending a lot of time trying to improve the common good. As the result, the tool, I don't feel that the tool is mine anymore. It belongs to the community. It belongs to all of us. It's developed by all of us based on our discussions. It's improved by a lot of us. And it's used by apparently a lot of you, at least. And yeah, it's kind of has gained a lot of traction. Something really awesome as well is getting detailed bug reports. So I need, probably most of you here in the crowd were here for the previous talk. But for those who were not, I must say that my Swedish brother, Mr. Stök, submitted the best bug report I have ever seen. Fucking 45 minutes of solid presentation, coming to a conclusion that, hey, this is the way how the tool breaks. He showed it on the screen. That was up to this date, the best bug report I have received. Documentation contributions. When I'm staring at the tool, I'm running it daily for testing stuff or actually attacking something, you kind of become blind to what the new user of a tool doesn't know, because it's kind of, how it works programmatically, so you probably know how to use the command line option as well. But the new user doesn't. This is why documentation contributions are super, super important, because the people who are contributing that have obviously stumbled into something that the documentation doesn't cover. And they are probably the best experts at the time, after figuring out how it actually works, to document that. So yeah, there's a huge difference in the bug reports coming in. Some of them have the whole source data, have the whole command line, maybe even the actual target that produces the issue with this sort of input. Like a raw response from the server, so I can figure out what went wrong. And some of them are just, it doesn't work, fix it. The good bug reports are a pleasure to work with. Also, a lot of a tutorial content created for the tool by many awesome content creators. They are very helpful for the new users to get into the how the whole thing works. That is awesome, and there's a lot of that around. And practical examples, obviously, you are kind of able to show it how ffuf can help you solve or point out a specific issue in a practical setting. Awesome. The bad stuff then. So, trivial questions. Like, am I the asshole here? Not answering questions? Yes, unfortunately. And that is a restriction of me as a human. I just don't scale. I scale to closed groups. I scale to some maybe a couple of hundred people. Those I'm able to help personally. Especially, especially frustrating if the answer would be there in the documentation already, easy to find out. But I'm not able, because I have a full-time job, I have 3 kids, I have hobbies, and I need to kind of choose my battles. What do I spend my free time on? Do I fix a critical bug? Do I implement a new feature? Or do I answer the same question for the 100th time? So yes, I unfortunately have to be the asshole, and that kind of makes me feel bad and makes me kind of, frustrates me. Entitlement. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's probably the internet. But people feel really entitled to things. And there's a lot of time that I have gotten insults, demands to fix your shit tool fast, so I can use it. That sucks. Don't do that. It's open source. You can fix it yourself. You have the all the code is there. So yeah, and ffuf up until today, this date, it still has the 100% money back guarantee. You get all your money back if you're not satisfied with the product. Vague reports. Even though that is not bad per se, I have tried to, create these GitHub issue templates that ask for people to submit as much information as I actually need in order to act on different bugs, different issues, in order for me to figure out what's actually wrong, because not working is not working for me, unfortunately. And if I spot something, a vague report, for example, that I feel that actually may be a legitimate issue with the tool, then I'm obviously going to go in and ask for more details. And after 10 messages of back and forth, it turns out that the user forgot to enable a command line function or so, a command line option or so. It's not an efficient a use of anybody's time. Not mine, not the reporters, not the other, whoever it may be, who's kind of looking into it and wondering that maybe I should look into the code and try to fix it. It's open source. Insults that I kind of covered. Script kiddies. This is a term that I think we need to redefine. Back in the day, script kiddie meant somebody who didn't write their own tools. Not really the case anymore. It kind of carries, still, if you think of it, the tools back in the day were not tens of thousands of lines of advanced stuff. They were simple, kind of scripts usually. And if you kind of bring it up to today's environment, today's ecosystem, what it means today is users who just pick a random one-liner from Shitter or some other, I don't know, platform, gist somewhere, tutorial, and just paste it to their terminal. We kind of already in this conference saw what pasting stuff to terminal can cause to you. But it's actually the same for the whatever is at the other end of the tubes we have known grown to know and love as internet. So that kind of gives both a kind of a pretty bad reputation for both the tool, if you're just you kind of end up just DOSing a target, whatever the target may be, just sending requests, using resources, electricity, all that, bandwidth, without any actual reason. So yeah, the script kiddies are the assholes of today, I guess. What is actually hard is not any of these kind of bad things. They are quite trivial. Just ignore them or try to educate users. It's also kind of my responsibility, But that's not hard per se. It's annoying, sure, but not hard. What is actually difficult is to see a pull request coming in. You see that there's somebody on the intertubes who really needed a huge feature in ffuf. They knew that they have the ability to write that. They know Go. ffuf is written in Go. And they are able to implement that. So they spend 2 weeks of their time to write a PR. They make an absolute, biggest effort there is to document all of the things. They do everything by the book. How to contribute to the open source project in an effective, in a nice way. You look at the PR and figure out that, damn, that doesn't fit the tool. We're actually limiting the users. Here we go back to the vision. Vision is shared. I've tried to share it in as many occasions as I can. But still, it's like it hurts. You know, you see somebody's effort going down the drain. Well, not down the drain. It's open source. They can still use it. But it's always painful to kind of try to keep maintaining your own patch set against something that changes upstream. So you have to, refix it every time. So by pressing the close pull request button instead of merge, we'll send their time, their effort, the time that they actually could have spent with their families, with their friends, doing something that is meaningful and fun to them, down the drain. That's hard. There are some things that I realize that could be kind of good features. But I have already kind of thought around like how could I implement this? And have figured out that no, there's no way to actually do it. And have kind of given up on it. But there are situations where that can also be changed. Remember, you need to really stay objective. You need to be you need to readjust your thinking from time to time, even though you have already at some point come to a conclusion that something is not feasible. Last time this happened for me was in person, actually at this same venue a month ago. You know who you are, and it was a thing about the CSRF, kind of how to fetch the CSRF token automatically. I had concluded that it's not possible to do in a generic way enough, that it would be really abstract enough for the tool. So I had given up on it. After the discussion, I realized that, hey, okay, we can actually implement that. The person was actually quite persistent, and I applaud them for that. I said that, oh, yeah, I already thought about that, it's not going to work. And they explained why it would or could work. And in the end, out of the discussion, I came out of the discussion with a changed opinion about the topic. And I'm planning to implement that in the future, thanks to that discussion, and realigning my brain. So yes, community matters, and talking to each other matters, respecting other people's opinions, and actually giving them a good thought really matters. That's how we can improve. That's how we can make things better. Okay, so we looked into the good and the bad, but there's still the ugly. So it would be stupid to assume this didn't happen. Of course it does. So a couple of months ago, it really kind of hit home. I read a report from Ukrainian cyber defense authorities, and the report named ffuf as one of the tools used by a Russian hacking group, Sandworm, to attack multiple Ukrainian telcos in DDoS attacks and such. Am I the bad guy here? I got the peace of mind. No, I'm not. There are other tools that can be used for it. It's not rocket science. It can be written from scratch, probably even faster than ffuf is, but still, I'm kind of enabling this shit. This is the ugly part. Kind of ethical consideration that I really don't have any solid answer to. It's just the state of things, Cyber gun control, I don't know. Yeah, it got me thinking. So, what about the kind of the necessities of life when it comes to kind of owning or maintaining or authoring a highly successful tool. At this point today, ffuf is used and taught by all of these big houses that do cybersecurity trainings, like SANS, offensive security, so on. You must make a lot of money out of it. How else can you sustain your luxurious lifestyle of board games and craft beer, right? Well, not exactly. You really shouldn't think of doing open source for money. It's not going to be there. However, as a disclaimer here, I want you to let you know that Offensive Security actually sponsored the tool development for a year's period. I think it's 2021 or so. So a huge thanks for them for that. But this is the reality. Open source, in most cases, doesn't really allow you to quit your day job. Oh, by the way, the monthly kind of sponsorship money I get for ffuf is 25 euros. I printed 1,000 stickers for you for ffuf. You can find them in the sticker exchange box there. And that was a half a year's income, ffuf income. So giving back to the community in a kind of a financial way as well. So takeaways. What I want you to kind of, I hope that maybe some of this probably stuck. Have a vision. Maintain integrity. Something that not Mani mentioned already in the first slide there. This is important. Communicate it. Make the vision a shared vision. That means that you have to, throw away a lot less of people's hard spent time. Try to stay objective and respect the people that you're talking to. That is how you actually get the kind of the brightest, the greatest, the best out of everything, every time. Be kind. That applies to everything in life. Don't be the asshole. Push people up. Drag them with you. but you really need to know that you're going to the right direction in that case. Otherwise, it's like a harassment, I guess. You need to do this stuff for passion. It's not for money. And together, we can make all of this all of this better. Everything. Thanks.